Hey everybody, it's been a while. How you doing? It's hot. It's hot. Let's see the date. What is the date today? The date is the 26th of June, okay? 2025. So, I thought I'd share this time I set up with you a little bit. Find my pins. I'll go over some stuff that's developed in the last while. And it has developed, and right now it's kind of a weird pause, a pregnant pause or something, I don't know. But that doesn't make me feel any really warm and fuzzy about nothing's going on, because there is stuff going on. We just don't know what it is exactly, but I bet that it ain't good. And there's a lot of weird stuff going on behind the scenes we don't know about, but we know it's going on. So, gosh, it seems I'm out of pins here. It's been a while since I've been out here. But anyway, it's been raining off and on, so it's been hard to get out here. I mean, it's been raining a lot. Everything is green and lush, and I had to mow my way over here to get here because of all the tall grass and whatnot, and brush. But it seems I don't have enough pins, but I think you can see okay. I used to have more pins, but I guess the weather threw them away. Something. But yeah, so there's a lot of things going on. Over here, over here, over here in Ukraine. This is an old map. This map actually depicts how the world looked back in the 80s, okay? You have the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and it covers all this area here. It's now Ukraine and some other, Latvia and Lithuania and all this other stuff. The Czech Republic and all of that. So anyway, things have changed since this map was made, but in a way this map is sort of accurate to what's coming. But I used this map in a brief a long while back. So, and on this map I had depicted this situation here that Chuck Youngbrand had seen, was shown, about how there was going to be these fleets of ships that were going to assemble here, and we were going to go to war with Iran, with Israel, and Iran eventually was going to nuke the area near Bahrain where all of our troops are assembled, okay, and also sink a bunch of our ships. And we're this close to that going on right now, because all this stuff that's going on over there, I mean, we're at war now with Iran, so like it or not, there's a weird little reload pause going on. Everybody's recocking their gear and figuring out the best move for the next move. But I don't think it's going to be a slow, monotonous grind anymore. I think once it kicks off, Iran's going to decide, you know what, we can't afford to mess around. Boom. And when that happens, this may happen after Ukraine gets a little bit more advanced and the Russians are across the Dnieper River completely. And for some reason or other, we attack Russia while they're assembled in Ukraine. when their armies are in there pretty deep and vulnerable as far as our country is concerned, and NATO, I guess. If we're even a member of NATO then, I don't know. But for some reason or other, we attacked the Russians, and that's a big mistake because, yeah, we hurt them bad, but they prepared for this. They've known this was coming, and they are geared up for it. So they're going to survive it, and then they're coming for us. And the Chinese are going to be with them, and the Venezuelans, and the Mexicans, and the Cubans, the Nicaraguans, the Iranians, the North Koreans, and a whole bunch of folks are going to be coming at us. You know, the Russians are going to be coming out of here, and the Chinese are going to be coming out of here. And I imagine what they'll do is they'll hit Hawaii. They may even bugger up San Diego and do some action in Frisco, and maybe Bremerton, but definitely Hawaii and Guam, Midway, Philippines, Japan, anywhere that we have assets, they're going to hit. Before, they probably make their main assault on Taiwan. They may do it all at the same time, but I would imagine they want to get the U.S. Navy busy and out of the way first, because they don't even want to deal with them. They want them out of the picture. So they're just going to launch this surprise attack. They're going to hit Pearl again, and all those ships. I don't think the parking situation's changed much since 1941, and we have a lot of ships there and subs and stuff. So they're, you know, in a very small area, really, and it wouldn't take a lot for them to hit it, and they could sneak some gear out here we wouldn't know about, just like the Japs did back in 41, and hit us again. And they're not going to make any to do about it. I mean, they're just going to be, you know, tooling around, and then get in within range and launch an attack. And it could be just missiles. They may not even use a carrier. They have them, but you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if they had some submersible carrier of some kind where they can surface, launch their planes, and dive again. Okay. They've had a lot of time to plan this out, and if I was going to do it with a carrier, that's how I would do it nowadays. I'd build me a really nice submersible carrier that carried, you know, 100 planes or so, and cruise on out there, nuclear powered, and maybe have a couple of supply ships out here, you know, that look like they're just regular commerce, to have the sub come up under and then reload and re-equip with food and all that stuff, and then detach and go on, just sort of like refuelers, you know. So, you know, that's just an idea. I don't know. It may not be so, but I would definitely, if I was them, I would hit these ports where the U.S. Navy operates out of, okay? Because orders are going to come from D.C. to SINCPAC fleet, and from there to Japan and Philippines and Guam and all that. But if you knock these areas out, then the Navy that's floating around out here that's available, it's going to have a hard time getting reports relayed to them. Submarines could do it, maybe come up, surface, pick up info, and relay it, but it's going to be reinventing the wheel for the U.S. Navy for a little bit. And by that time, a lot of our Navy is going to be gone. They're not going to mess around. We're going to send in more, you know, a carrier or two or three from Bremerton, Frisco, maybe even Norfolk and San Diego, and then bonsai over there. But with what missiles that the Chinese and the Russians have developed in the last few years, these carriers are just sitting ducks, okay? you overwhelm their systems, and boom, you'll get one in. All you have to do is knock out the propulsion, knock out their comms, and the thing's a sitting duck. And they can just shoot it out all day long after that. And the planes, if they're not all launched, they'll go down with the ship. The ones that are launched, they're going to have a hard time finding a place to land. And it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a huge mess. But the Chinese had years and years to plan this out, and with the Russians and with the North Koreans. And it's like people are going, oh, they'll never do it and all this stuff. Well, that ain't what the Lord showed me. They're going to do it. And they're going to, eventually they'll land here, okay? They'll land on the west coast of the United States. But the Russian group, the Russian group from Venezuela, Cuba, and Mexico, they'll hit Florida, they'll hit the East Coast, and they'll create some feints to make it look like they're going one way, and then actually they're going to hit another. And it'll take a day or two for our people to figure that out. By that time, they'll be in Philly. And Philly has everything they need to support the planes and all this other stuff that they're going to use to bring all the gear in order to continue on this invasion, okay? And a lot of people think, oh, that, Russian, they don't have all this, they don't have this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, baloney, they don't, okay? They've been saving their money too. They've been using their money smart, and they have this stuff. Some of it's hidden away. You can't see it from satellites. It's just hidden away. And Putin has, he's a shrewd dude. He's a sharp cat. I mean, as far as military commanders go, this is probably the biggest military ambush op ever in the history of the world. Okay, to take the United States out. And that's where we are. And right now we're at the very cusp of all that going down. Okay? It's that simple. Americans, my fellow Americans, my brethren, my sisters, you haven't made your decision yet. Let me get a pillow here. This chair. So, like I was saying, if you haven't made your decision yet, you need to do it now, because this is all about to go down, okay? And the Lord will, He'll be with you through it. And the deal is, we're here for the harvest. This is going to be the harvest, okay? Because when all this starts rattling off, a lot of people are going to be scared to death, okay? Imagine, what may occur also within our own, from our own flavored sort of treachery, okay, that's going on within our own walls, is a plot, okay, to basically raise up this beast system and turn this place into a tyranny, and make it into one big gulag. And that's I can see a lot of different things going on, like the rush across the border and the allowing of all these people that nobody knows where the heck they're from, and military age dudes, I can bet that they are provided for, they're getting trained, they're being fed well, they're given whatever they need, entertainment, you can use your imagination there, but whatever it is that they need, they're getting it. So when the time comes and they get the call and they do their little missions, okay, I mean, this is a well planned out op, okay? They know where every nut and bolt in this country is already. I mean, we've had flights over satellites, people driving around, cataloging everything and everybody. And then you've got the internet, which is, let's just put all of our information out there, okay? Facebook, face page, whatever. And they can go, well, this is that guy, this is that guy, this is that guy, we know where all these people are because they're volunteering this information out there on the web, which is accessible to anybody. And it's like one of the greatest intel sponges ever developed. It's incredible. But these people are in the wings, waiting when the situation reaches a certain place in this country. They'll launch it, okay? And they're going to ramrod this down our throats, okay? The same way they ramrodded, certain people in office before. And the Constitution's going to be gone, okay? And they'll legislate new laws. And, I have a feeling there's going to be a void up in the top leadership pretty soon here. And they're going to fill that void with somebody you're not going to like. Or a lot of people are not going to like. Some people are going to love it for a little while. But, and it's going to embolden the people that have been keeping their heads down for the last 6 months, okay? To get out there and cause, just create havoc and push their agenda and drive the moral decay of this country, into warp speed. And it's just going to be sickening. But that's just the way it's going to be. So that's, where if Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior, and you're depending on Him, and you talk to Him on a daily basis, and you read His Word, and you're cool with the Lord, He's going to be with you no matter what happens. Okay. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough deal. People are going to die. They're going to hunt us down, and they may butcher some of us in front of our loved ones and us, and it's going to be a rough deal. And they're going to say, look, you can either capitulate and deny Jesus, or here's a bowl of beans, and you can, we'll give you a job being an operative in our system, whatever, or something. And a lot of people that are on the fence are going to be so shell-shocked and not in tune with God, okay, that they're going to capitulate. And some of those are going to be the most treacherous of these interrogators and such, of any of them, because they're going to know deep down that they gave it up, and they gave up the only, they gave up. They denied the Lord, and there's no chance of them. They can't go back. They're done forever. So that's why I say now, if you're on the fence, you need to get off the fence. And we're going to be here for the harvest. That's what this is about. The harvest. Nobody said it was going to be. You think about the farmer out in the field hacking away the wheat all day long. It's not easy work, and it's not going to be easy work now for us either. You're going to have to deal with predators just like they did. You're going to have to deal with drought just like they did. You're going to have to deal with hunger, diseases, and all these things. But God is with you through all these things. And so it's not going to be a picnic, but it can be done. It will be done. There's a lot of people out there that are going to rise up and step up to the plate. And I pray to God you guys are them. I'm talking to you guys. I'm talking to the people that are going to be out there in the fields with us, with me. And no matter what happens, And if they take us out, well, they took out a lot of believers before us. And they took out the Lord. And He did say, follow me. And that means follow me, Follow me, which means maybe to the end. So, we've got great God, and He's people. I think some people they think like he can't do. He's not He's not big enough. He doesn't know. He knows every blade of grass. He knows every tick. You know, I wish he'd get rid of them, but he knows them where they all are. And he knows every molecule of everything. He knows the hairs on your head. He designed the way you look, you know, and it's beautiful. And in his eyes, you are the peak of his creation, and his intention is to spend it with you forever. And so, how can you say no to that? And don't believe the lies, you know, all the evolution garbage and all that, you know, junk. And I mean, go out in the bush and just look at what's going on. You know, it's like man is so arrogant, stupid to think that all of this has happened, you know, by some. It's like you throw a bunch of monkeys in a room with a typewriter and some paper, and you think he's gonna. At the end of it, Shakespeare's gonna come out. Not gonna happen. Okay. Shakespeare was designed and written by a smart dude, and so is the earth, and so is the universe, and so is everything. So I vote to be on his team, not on the guy that he fired. Okay, he kicked him out. He's done. He did the dirty deed, and you know, he's out. Don't go with that crowd. Anyway, but so I would you know, bone up on that. You know, all this has been. I'll tell you a story. I was, you know, I always believed in God. My grandmother used to bounce me on her knee when I was little, read me the Bible, and pray over me, and I'm so glad she did. And she passed away when I was very little, but some of that stuck. And so I always believed, you know, that God was there. I just didn't know how to reach him. And the way churches were and stuff, you know, it just wasn't. It just didn't seem like, you know. I mean, I was exposed to the Catholic Church and the Protestant churches, and they just didn't have they just didn't explain it. Nobody actually took the time to set me aside and explain to me how to receive the Lord or any of that, and that you needed to do it because this is what you know, this big story is. It wasn't until I was 21 or so that ever happened. I'm a believer, and but to get back to the beginning of it all, I was in the Navy, and I was overseas, and I was out in town. I had a girlfriend, and it was Christmas Eve, and I went to sleep, you know, and I had to be back at base early, but I had this dream, and this dream was so vivid and so real. And I was back here in the United States in the dream, and missiles were flying, and bombs were going off, and planes were flying overhead, and choppers, and it was just chaos and mayhem, and it was just like I was there. And I woke up from that heaving, sweating, and the girl I was with, she woke up with me because I woke up in such a start. And I told her about this dream, you know, and I had to have a pack of cigarettes and 3 beers, you know, right after this, because I was, you know, frazzled. And it was so vivid, and so I mean, it was like I could hear the bombs, I could smell the gunpowder, you know, the screams and all of that was going on. And I knew that this wasn't just, you know, a regular dream, and I didn't know that it was from the Lord. I just knew though that it was very different and special, and I just, you know, it took me